Good afternoon. Welcome to our video knowledge series by AdGully in partnership with mFilter. Today, we'll talk about bringing EduTech mainstream. With the coronavirus pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns, EduTech firms have seen an exponential surge in popularity. As per an Omidyar Network India and Redseer report, by 2020, the post K-12 market is set to grow 3.7 times to create a 1.8 billion market. Some of the leading brands are ready to capture the market, which is growing fast as the need for online education has become very important. The number of people upskilling is tiny as compared to the addressable population that is so large, and all the edutech firms are barely scratching the surface, and there is a huge potential to scale up this industry. To walk us through the strides that EdTech has taken during the pandemic, we have Mr. Falgun Kompalli, co-founder of Grad. Falgun comes with his 7 years of experience across different geographies. He leads the overall growth operations and university relations at Upgrad. His single minded vision is to create world class programs to help prepare for careers of tomorrow. And now we move on to our discussion with Falgun. Welcome, Falgun. So, given the fact the kind of things that we have gone through in the last couple of months, I want to understand from you what has kept Upgrad busy in the last 8 to 9 months.
Great. Thanks, Vijaya, for that question. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And to answer your question specifically, I think one of the things that has happened over the last 9 months and what has kept us busy is obviously what has happened with COVID, right? So I think there are a couple of major changes that we have gone through. The first is the entire work from home situation. And as a young organization, just to give you some numbers, pre-COVID in February, we were around 600 people, and today Upgrad has 2,200 people. So there are about 1,600 people who have joined us in the last 8 months, and we have not been able to see their face because nobody has come to office. So figuring out how to continue to grow the organization and mature the organization and make sure that the culture doesn't become an issue. At the same time, not compromise on the growth of the organization. I think it's a tough balance for us at this point. And that's where putting in a lot of effort and energy into making sure the way we hire people, the way we onboard them, the way we help them understand company culture, and eventually get them to perform at their best level, although none of it can happen in a physical setup, I think has been one of the key challenges that we've spent a lot of time on. The second is obviously in terms of the opportunity from our university and learner standpoint. I think one of the things that we have seen is a lot of not only our existing university partners, but a lot of our universities globally have reached out to us and said, look, we are suddenly in a position where we do not know what to do because we have to teach students, but we do not have the wherewithal or the infrastructure to teach them because they're used to teaching in physical campuses. That's where we have supported around 200 universities and help them run online courses so that they can teach their students via our learning management system, either via recorded videos or via live lectures. And that's something that, again, has taken a lot of effort from our side. The last part is learners. I think one of the things that COVID has done is that it has given people some time to reflect, and it has also increased the demand as people sat at home thinking of what they should do. A lot of people look towards online learning to help upskill themselves and pursue more relevant careers. And that's where we, from just before COVID, again, we had a portfolio of about 30 programs. Right now, we have a portfolio of about 110 programs. So we have really accelerated on the kind of choice and value proposition that we can bring to potential learners. And we've been trying to communicate that very effectively so that people can use this time to the best possible effect. So that's the third thing. And I think across these three, it has kept us very busy over the last 9 months.
Okay. I was just going to ask you about, how you kind of trying to cater to the language acquisition and competitive exams that people are kind of preparing online. You kind of answered my that thing in bringing those connects. Yeah. So, given that fact, so how is Upgrad looking at capitalizing on the growing opportunity, and how do you strike a balance between physical and digital learning?
Yeah. So in terms of capitalizing on the opportunity, I think, as I said, what COVID has done is we do not see any inflection. right? It is not like we were at level 1 and we went to level 10 because of COVID and suddenly everything changed. I think things are still stable. We continue to grow at 100%, 120% year on year, which we did in the past as well. But I think what COVID has done is given us and EdTech in general very strong long-term tailwinds, right? And what I mean by that is the acceptance of online education was still a nascent concept in India and even globally for that matter, right? So now I think a lot of penny dropping has happened with parents, with learners, with universities, with employers. All of them now suddenly start to realize that, look, there is a lot that we can do online, which initially was perceived as impossible to be done effectively. So I think a lot of those tailwinds have helped us to break those perception and to break those barriers. And what we thought would take 3 years has happened over the last 6 months. So I think that's a very strong positive effect. In terms of how we plan to capitalize, as I said, given a lot of the stakeholders now involved are more open to the impact of online learning, we are trying to accelerate our growth by partnering with, as I said, multiple universities, by launching new programs. So we have almost doubled our product portfolio. So what we did in the first 5 years, we have achieved in the last 9 months in terms of our university partnerships and our program portfolio and the scale of our operations. So we have really doubled down on investing in university partnerships, on new program launches, and also exploring multiple areas for growth in India. The second thing we have done in terms of capitalizing is this is an international opportunity. We always thought that, look, the opportunity is international, but as a young organization, you want to focus and you want to make sure your resources are not pulled in multiple directions, but you focus on one problem and actually do it really well. So that's how we evolved over the last 5 years, where we can really focus on the working professional market in India. But now I think is the time when we as an organization, when we reflect and say that we have enough resources, bandwidth, team, capital, etc., for us to look at multiple other flanks to grow. So in that thought process, we've also looked at international expansion, where we have set up something in Southeast Asia based out of Singapore. We have set up something for the EMEA region based out of London. And now we are looking at international partners and international expansion for Upgrad again. And we believe the time is right for multiple reasons. On the last part of how we plan to leverage this physical plus digital and how we toe the line there, I think we have always been advocates of a digital first learning experience and the kind of power it has. So I believe that a digital classroom is one where every person is in the first row. Right? In a physical classroom, there are 5 people in the first row paying attention, and everybody else at the back is either sleeping or on their phone or doing something else, right? Because the faculty is not able to give that personalized attention. In an online classroom, I've always said that the learner, every single learner is in the first bench and gets personalized attention. So from that standpoint, we are very strong advocates of that. And we see that offline institutes now have started believing that if they were doing a 4-year bachelor's program on campus, a large part of that can be done online. They still feel like there are some social elements, some interactions, etc., that need to be offline. So a lot of that will move to first a blended concept where some activities are online and some are offline. So we're trying to see how to work with these universities to design those experiences. Similarly to one of the things you mentioned earlier, like test prep, right? If you think of it, test prep has traditionally been an offline market where people used to go to coaching centers and learn. Again, now the opportunity is very strongly in trying to see how we can blend that and give students better value proposition. So you might have seen that Upgrad has acquired the Gate Academy recently, and we're going to invest another 100 crores in that business. And Gate Academy has about 50 centers for engineering test prep. So we are going to work with them to use their physical infrastructure, but also give them the impetus to go digital. So it'll be a very strong combination of their physical capability plus the online capability that Upgrad brings to win the GATE and engineering test prep market, but then also go into other areas of test prep in India.
Okay. So you kind of answered some of my stuff that I'm going to ask you in the second question, but then I'll still say. So the transition to most categories is kind of permanent if you see, yeah. Those who would return to physical operation, the move would still be a phygital one, so to say, yeah. How do you see the long-term implications of COVID-19 on EdTech?
So as I said, I think the long-term implications are that it has seriously accelerated what was anyway going to happen. I don't think it is going to change something in the sense that this was not going to happen before, and because of COVID, now it is happening. We've always believed that this will eventually happen, but it will take 5-10 years to get there. What COVID has done is it's going to get us there in 2 years. So I believe that COVID has acted as an accelerator for EdTech more than changing anything fundamentally. Right? And in terms of the future, I think, as I said, most schools you talk to, most colleges you talk to today, most education experts believe that the future of education is blended, right? If you ask them the same question 18 months back, they would have not said the same thing. What they have started to see is that now with all of these campuses closed, people not able to go to campus, they were forced into the situation of delivering classes online. And when they have started doing that, they see that it's great, it actually works. And I think that was the penny dropping moment that I was talking about. And now they realize that, look, there are a lot of great aspects about doing this online, while there still might be some elements offline that are important in terms of social networks, in terms of personality building, etc., which need to happen on campus to give that student that holistic learning. That's where they have started believing that blended is going to be the future, which is a great movement from what it was 12-18 months back. So I do believe that that will also further evolve, where a lot of the things that even today people think offline can do, online will get into that space, and it will be an eventual transition where a few elements might still remain offline, but a bulk of it will be online learning.
Okay. How are you keeping up with the growing demands of your consumer base, and how are you innovative in your engagement and reach strategy?
Yeah, so in terms of how we're keeping pace, so we do constant research. So we have almost 1 million people who visit our website. And we have a portfolio of free programs that people can do and enroll in one of them and just go through the experience. So based on that, we get a lot of information on what people like, what people don't like. We are in constant touch with corporates to give us feedback on what is important in terms of demand for skills. So based on that, we launch new programs. So to give you an example, most recently we launched an LLM program in corporate and financial law, right? And it is a huge success. So again, this came from the fact that our research indicated that there was a need for such a program. Moving forward, we are going to launch programs in psychology, in arts, in banking and finance, in fashion management, etc. So a very strong understanding of the trends, a very strong understanding of what consumers are looking for, and then working with our university partners, with corporates to design those value propositions and delivering it, I think is what Upgrad has been very good at. And we will continue to do that. And that will be reflected in our program portfolio in terms of how we grow that. In terms of how we are engaging with learners, I think, as I said, right, online classroom is very powerful. So for every learner who's doing our master's program, we collect about 150,000 data points, right? So 150,000 data points are collected in terms of when you log in, when you log out, which assessment you're struggling with, are you on track, are you falling behind? So we have all of this data. And based on this, the kind of interventions we are able to define, it could be automated interventions, it could be manual interventions, but a combination of both of these to make sure that we are hand-holding you to successfully complete the program, I think is very powerful. And that's where the completion rates that we see, even for a 2-year master's program, are north of 90%. So we build this technology-enabled hand-holding and mentorship services, be it academic support, non-academic support, or career support services, to enable success for our learners in terms of completion rates, in terms of strong learning outcomes, and in terms of strong career benefits. So I think that's where we are able to work very closely with the kind of data we have and with our learners to enable that journey for them in terms of engagement.
My last question is dominating trends for 2021 that you see. That's I would like you to kind of answer in two parts. One is the overall digital industry, the trends that you see, and the second is specifically with regards to the edtech sector.
Specifically for the digital sector, I think large parts of 2021, I think will still be affected by COVID. I think we'll get a vaccine soon, but I think it'll take time for it to come out, for it to be administered, and for us to be comfortable to still move normally in that sense. With that as the background, I think a couple of things. This work from home will continue, and I think it has massive implication on how organizations will work and how people will interact. And that is the first thing that I think is going to happen. Specifically with EdTech, I believe that a lot of universities, a lot of not even universities, even K-12 schools will see that there is a lot of value in blended learning, and it is very, very effective. So there are a few things that need not happen everyday life. They can very well happen online, live, or recorded, and there are other things that need to happen offline. So I think even in 2020 it has accelerated, and in 2021 I think we're going to see that completely play out, where a lot of the education ecosystem is going to understand the value of digital plus something physical, so that blended model, what that will do for edtech companies is that it will give them a much larger pie to play in terms of the kind of products and services that they can offer. And that is where I think there is a lot of responsibility on edtech firms also to be able to create those products and services to meaningfully establish that look, this we are here to stay. This can only go two ways, right? One is that look, it is a short-term pain that people have gone through and they can't wait to forget about it, or it is a long-term change of trend in behavior, right? Now, what we all want as people who are proponents of edtech is that it is a long-term behavioral change and just not a short-term pain that people are dealing with. But for that to happen, all of us need to put our minds together to create great products and offer great services so that people see the value of online and then combine that with what they were anyway doing in the physical world to enhance their own experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.